Hi, I'm Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome, true readers, to my review of The Mighty Thor number 700. This week, a bunch of lenticular covers came out. This is the only one I bought. I did not buy the one for Cable 150. I did not buy the one for the Invincible Iron Man 593. I did not think they were anything special. I liked this one, because if you turn it one way, it looks like the death of Captain Marvel. And then there you see Death holding Captain Marvel. Turn another way, it looks like the death of the Mighty Thor. And you see Death holding Jane Foster. So this is a really cool cover in my opinion. It's even better than the Marvel Legacy #1 cover. Because with that one, the cover did not change at all. And I will admit, there are some names in here that I don't know what they mean, or who they are, or how to even pronounce them. So, if I get something wrong, feel free to laugh at me, alright? Don't worry about it. And I will confess that, I have not read this book since, I don't know, probably a few decades ago. This is one of those books that I did not pick up when I restarted reading comics in 2016. Because I found out that Jane Foster was now Thor. And I know that Thor is a name, not a title. But the people at Marvel Comics, they are going to do what they're going to do despite anyone else. So let's get into the review. Start off here with this, I don't know, synopsis or whatever. It says, Malekith and his allies are waging war across the 10 realms. To stop him, Volstagg picked up the hammer of the ultimate Thor and became the War Thor. But its power drove him into a mad bloodlust. Thor could not calm him, but Jane Foster reminded him of his humanity, and he gave up the hammer. And so the war against Malekith and against Jane's cancer continues. So too does the legacy of Thor and of the Odin son who has long carried that name. This is a story of the ancient, the present, and the foretold. Okay, I don't know who Malekith, Volstagg, the Ultimate Thor, or the War Thor is. But that's not going to stop me from getting into this book. Now, boom, right here, first page. I was impressed by this. I liked this. It's a shot of who I call the original Thor. With the long, flowing blonde hair, the big old red cape, the original suit. Yeah, I know Jane Foster wears something that's similar to the original, but this is the original. There is no substitute for the original. Okay? That's me. Up here we see some dialogue. Who do you see, son of Asgard? I see the god I once was and long to be again. The god who bestrode the realms with a hammer in his hand and a roar of thunder in his heart. I see the mighty Thor. Okay. So that kind of sounds like some therapy going on. And here we see the mighty Thor as he is currently. He's basically has a crew cut, as we see down here. A big old thick beard. He says, and what I see pains me to the depths of my soul. You gaze into the golden sap of Yisrael, into the very lifeblood of the world tree itself. Such visions are not for the faint of spirit. Here we go. Or the unworthy. Then they are not for me. Now this is just, I don't know why they put this here. This stupid dog. It says, tree hurt master, bad tree, Thor murder tree. What was that for? I mean, it's not even a filler for the story. It's not even a plot device. I don't get it. And if there's a purpose for that dog uttering such ridiculous words, I'm totally lost. So, if anybody knows why that dog is there, please explain him to me. Anyways, Thor says, down dog, if you called me all the way here just to humiliate me, woman, you could have saved us both the trouble and done so by Raven. I thought you said you needed help, and they label him as Odinson, the unworthy Thor. And then we see the woman, whose name is Karnilla, Queen of the Norns. I'd say she's Queen of the Afros. Look at that hair. And she's got some weird ornament on her head. If she's not careful, a bunch of birds are going to fly directly into her and, crap all over her. I have no idea who she is. She says, it is not I who need your help, Odinson. It is those I am bound to protect. The Norns are in the gravest of danger. Someone seeks to slay the fates themselves. Now the artwork is not bad here. I kind of like it. It's not over the top. And then we see over here the Norns keep at the roots of the world tree. And so then Thor says, and by someone you mean Melkith, and then he goes off to name all the infamous names, because the word infamous is not a good word. And it says, why would Melkith want to hurt the Norns? And she says, if the twinners of fate should fall, then destiny dies with them. Melkith and his dark cabal would be free to forge their own futures, no matter the consequences. Well, that's what I do every day. I forge my own future, no matter the consequences. Nobody does it for me. And Thoris, he's tried this before, and she says, Ook, and who's Charles? What kind of name is Ook? Never heard of that name before. And they've tried before to invade that realm, and she says, but she fears they were, doing a probing attack, trying to see where the weak points are. And then over here, Thor gets all noble. He says that though we have often found ourselves at odds in the past, Karnilla, I promise you this, no harm shall befall the Norns while the Thunder God has blood pumping through his chest. She says, the faints thank you, Odinson. And this leads to something I think is kind of funny. She says, you have always been one of their favorites, for many centuries here at the Well of... What? Weird? The Well of Weird? I think. The Norns have enjoyed weaving the threads of your adventures. This is what I think is really funny. He says, but tell them to weave one where I'm holding a hammer for a change. And then somebody attacks. And this Norns Keep must be in another in part of the Asgard dimension. because it doesn't look like it's part of the space. And then they're under attack. And Thor says, have your guards get the Norns to safety, Karnilla. Leave these trolls to me. And I think, it's just weird, all these names. I mean, couldn't they think of some names that would be pronounceable? Even I can pronounce, weird names. But she says not just trolls this time. Jotner, Muslinger, Savatfer, man. I can't pronounce these. The army of Malekith continues to grow, just like his war. Our time grows short. If today we must bleed, then let us do so as Norns. And Norns bleed stories. She says stories of revelry and woe, of triumph and tribulation, stories of war and thunder, stories of hammers and hell and the twilight of the gods, stories of Thor. We switch to a different location. Jane Foster, the mighty Thor, wielder of Midjor. She's trying to help some people out. She says, go, get far away from this place. Oh my God, did you see what it did to that bus? I mean, she's the one, I think, holding the bus here, and this guy calls her an it? Can't he see that she's got breasts? I'm sorry. It says, and over the eons and across the many dimensions, we Norns have seen some very different sorts of Thors. Big Thors, little Thors, bearded Thors, girl Thors, but there's only ever been one kind of Thor story. And Jane Foster is thinking, that last punch nearly knocked my spine out of my butt. Can't let her get the drop on me. And then she's attacked. The epic kind of story. And who attacked her? That's what I wanted to know when I first read this. It says, this is one of those. Midgard, New York City, now. And I had no idea who that was. Honest to goodness, I did not. Until I went over here to the next page. I mean, if you've not read this yet, you're going to realize that this is either some really good artwork or some really bad artwork, depending on your point of view. She's Thor versus Hulk. We have weaved that tale many times before, but never quite like this. Never with this Thor, with this Hulk. Never with death and madness looming so close for each. Okay, so this is Hulk, a.k.a. Jennifer Walters. And you can't even tell who it is because the face is totally obscured. Which I can understand because look at all the smoke surrounding the area, all the fire. So it's understandable that the face is obscured. And here's Jane Foster saying, "Aye, it is Jennifer, is it not?" And this is basically going to be a one-sided conversation. But it's going to be interesting and really good. She says, "I believe we have met once or twice before. I am an old friend of the previous Thor. They used to call you the She-Hulk, yes?" While she goes, kaboom, or, she's trying to defend herself. And this is the type of Hulk that Amadeus Cho needs to be. The one who's out of control. Just like Bruce Banner was. We don't need a Hulk that is, an intelligent person while he is big, green, and mean. Look at that. She says, I would still be angry about that as well, but there is no reason to take that out on. Okay, now I know what she's getting at. She's getting at that Jennifer is mad or supposedly mad because she was once called the She-Hulk. Well, at that time, there was already a creature called the Hulk in existence. So, naturally, it just makes sense to call her She-Hulk. Because Jennifer Walters was created at the very same time Bruce Banner was alive in the Marvel Universe. So this just did not make any sense to me. I mean, demerits for that. And she says, now, no more punching. While she's, and look at that. Wham! Right against Major. That is what Amadeus Cho needs to be like. But he's not. She's like, grrr, out of control. That is what the Hulk needs to be like, out of control. She says, Jennifer, I do not wish to harm you. I am also not entirely certain that I can. I need you to calm down too. And she thinks, what's the opposite of hulking out? I need you to hulk yourself back in. Can you do that for me? She says, broken. Hulk yourself back in? Ugh. I don't get that. Want to smash? Yes, that is what I want to read from someone who calls themselves Hulk. Jane says, oh hell. I don't know why there's one L for that. Maybe that's a different. Maybe it means something different. And over here, big explosion. We can see Jennifer standing right there in the middle of it. She is mad as can be. And I thought this was funny. I really did. Jane Foster thinking, and here I was having such a lovely morning. Oh my gosh, that's funny. That is really funny. It's funny to me. It's really good to see you make it in today. We were starting to get worried about you. Now, this switches to an earlier event where Jane Foster is at the doctor. This is, and the doctor says, it's been way too long since your last treatment, Dr. Foster. I didn't know Jane Foster was also a doctor. Yeah, well, life sometimes gets in the way, and so do space gods and dark elves and war Thors. And so we see Jane Foster as she truly is when she's not Thor. She looks like a person who's really going through chemotherapy. We've got you all set up in the infusion room like usual, the doctor says. Hold her down, I can't fasten the restraints. Whoa, what's going on in there? Grr. NYPD just brought her in. Found her wandering the streets, babbling incoherently, no ID. She took a swing at one of the cops, probably high on something. They can't get her calmed down. She looks kind of familiar. Grr, can't hold her. She's stronger than she looks. Hurry up and sedate her before we... And it's Jennifer Walters. And so she changes into She-Hulk, because you see the classic change of the peoples that we could, at least that I saw in the Incredible Hulk television show. Whenever Bruce Banner would start to change, then over here we see, I think this is the present situation. Yes, so they're still fighting, and Jen thinks, we're going to destroy the entire borough at this rate. Got to get her away from everything. Come, Hulk, let us continue this discussion a few leagues from here. A few leagues in the upwards direction. She grabs a hold of Jennifer Walters, and it's like, wham, right upwards. And as for the artwork, well, I think it's good for the situation. Now we move over to Asgardia. This is what I think is a problem with this issue, is they're trying to encompass, several situations in this one issue, but I could be wrong. And this says Asgardia, City of the Gods. I thought it was called Asgard, because that same name was used in Marvel Legacy #1, Asgardia. Okay, so I'll break this down. This is the Volstagg dude who previously wielded a Thor hammer. I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but that Thor hammer finds him again, hits the ground, he goes over, picks it up, and then he becomes that war Thor that again. And I don't know why they went back to 896 AD, but this is this is a story of Odin's son. The warships, their warships are cutting right through us like Sutter's flaming sword. We cannot stop them. They're just too Odin damned many. Nay! And this is young Thor. There are not enough, God of the Vikings. Quickly beseech my father in Asgard and pray for more trolls. In other words, he was really wild and reckless at one time. And at that point, he had an axe. He didn't have Midgard because he was not worthy. And so this part of the story is to basically show us that when he was younger, he was not worthy of Midgard, the hammer. And so then he leaves Asgard with his axe, not the hammer. And then this happens. And even further into the future, New Midgard, untold eons from now. Okay, now I thought this was rather interesting. No, you're doing it wrong. This isn't how the all-grandfather showed us. This isn't what New Midgard needs. Okay, we've got 3 women here. And this one says, Elseve is right. Less thunder and more rain at 2. Rain is boring. Frig, thunder isn't. But thunder doesn't make the plants grow. I'll show you thunder, sister. Okay, so these 3 are working the clouds, I guess, to make thunder and make it rain. the view of them is kind of obstructed, but that's understandable given that they're in the clouds. And then, crack-a-coom! They're fighting again. And then down here, we see King Thor, All-Father at the end of time. So this much we're told. That's got to be Odinson. He will be the All-Father at some point. And this dude, naked except for a thong, says, "Are the goddesses angry because we don't worship them enough? Is that why they fight? They fight because there's too damn much of their grandfather in them, too much of me. And I didn't create you so you could worship us." Now this is really weird. Odinson created new humans or something. I'm wondering what this is going to blossom into, story-wise. And he says, "Then why are we here? You have no idea how long man has been asking that question of their gods. Did their gods ever answer? Not typically. No gods. No gods could be bastards like that. No gods could be bastards like that. I misread that. But I will tell you now, Jane and Steve, I am reminded of Adam and Eve right now. But I will tell you now, Jane and Steve of New Midgard, what those other gods never would. You are here to live, to grow and dream and make this world your home, and to find your own place, your own way in the cosmos. Gods be damned, myself included. But Thor is a good god. Thor is a tired god. Story. But I suppose I do have time for just one more tale. Have I told you, children, how I defeated Galactus with just one arm? And so then we go over here. We see Galactus. He doesn't look like Galactus because Galactus was purple. And so now Thor tells the story of how he saved the Earth from the Eater of Worlds using the weapon of one of his greatest enemies. The weapon of Gore? The God Butcher? That's new to me. The artwork is pretty interesting here. But what King Thor does not know is that the story of All Black, the Necro Sword, did not end. That it continues on elsewhere at the end of time, in the deepest reaches of space, in the form of Black Galactus, the Butcher of Worlds. And there he is, Black Galactus. All worlds must die. The Necro Sword has not even been destroyed, but instead it was absorbed by Galactus, or perhaps Galactus had been absorbed by it. Murderer! And so then we see this weirdo planet just come out of nowhere. This planet has a beard. Okay, that's weird to me, but funny. You've just eaten your last meal, you bastard. And so it's that Galactus meets his greatest foe for the final time. The planet eater versus the planet that fights back. Ego, the living planet. Okay. Those were my grandchildren. Okay, this planet is the grandfather of other planets. I find that funny. Strange and funny. So he attacks Galactus. And then comes down here and smashes right into his eye. I don't get it. This whole part with the battle between these two is totally confusing to me. But it winds up that the planet becomes infected with whatever it was that had infected Galactus. And then we go to that place, Jotham, the land of the Frost Giants, the same place we saw in Marvel Legacy #1, where Loki was. Now this gets even stranger, because I thought Loki was the son of Odin, and that Thor was his brother. But here we see Loki has often tried to weave his own tale, but the Prince of Lies is about as much a Norn as he is a giant. Well, that was considerably less fun than I thought it would be. Loki says, I told you we were meeting an envoy of mountain giants. What exactly were you expecting to happen, little prince of jackasses? That's funny. I suppose I thought there'd be more feasting. The Asgardians do love their feasts with treating their envoys. Also, I do expect your guards to be completely wiped out for us and to almost be murdered and devoured by flesh-eating hillbilly giants. Okay, now that's kind of boring, But where is it that he said something that was really confusing. Yeah, here it is. This one's starting to sing. He says, yes, well, at least this finally affords us some time alone. There are many questions I've wanted to ask you since I came back to life. Father! Okay, that's Loki. That's a frost giant. And Loki's calling a frost giant his father? Okay. That's confusing. And then, oh, goodness. Then we've got this frog that looks like Thor. Midgard, Earth, New York's Central Park. And that's Throg, the frog of thunder. So he's going through the air, flying. No sign of the Upper West Side horde. Maybe the rat wars have finally ended. That's funny. That's funny. Rat wars. And so he sees someone here on the ground. This doesn't look like a job for the Frog of Thunder, does it? And then we go back to the battle between Jane Foster and Jennifer Walters. Gah, I cannot see. And then, smash! Stupid helmet, smash! Stupid face. Eat, puny hammer. Okay, now that is the type of Hulk that I miss. Honestly, I do. Yeah, I bet you never bit the other Thor. Hulk, no fly. Aye, you're right about that, for we are going down. And so, Odin's son is trying to help the Norn Keep do whatever it is that they do. And it's kind of interesting. He says, Melketh. So you can send every monster from every realm, and Odinson will send them all to hell. And so he's fighting Melketh. It looks like a pretty cool battle. And then that woman goes down here and into this pond, and she sort of like merges with the pond or the water or something. It's doesn't really, I don't really understand it. But then we go over here back to Earth, where Jennifer Walters and Jane Foster are still fighting. They're falling, and they finally hit, I think that's an airport. They finally hit ground. And we hear, Hulk, hate. Hate, puny Thor. Major, make sure this building is empty. So apparently Major, the hammer, can tell if a building is empty or not. I did not know that. And so the hammer comes back and says, good. Then bring it down on top of us. Let Hulk go. And so Jane says, the angrier she gets, the stronger she grows. I cannot hold her for long. Major, do it now. And so we go back over here to Asgardia, where Thor is fighting off Melketh, I think. And this woman is trying to do some mystical stuff that I don't really understand. But I think I should. I think this is important to go back over. She says there is only one Norn in the Norn's Keep today, and she holds all your fates in her hands. Really, one person holds the fate of every single person here. She sees where the threads will lead, where they fray and knot and sever all of you for all the realms. And that, I'm hoping, is going to be Odin's son in the future. Loki, for all the gods. Not sure who that is. Maybe is that Jane Foster? Is that one of the Frost Giant? Not sure who this woman is, but she's attractive. And then there's Jane Foster. For all the Thors. Keep hacking, we've almost got it. And she says, the war of the realms, the battle for the stones, the final host, the Mangog, gods help us, death. I see most horrible of deaths coming for Carnella. And then there's the Major. I think, no, that's not the, yeah, that's Major. Funny, puny hammer, Hulk, hate. Boom! Kaboom! And the that entire building comes toppling down. Major! And then, I really don't think this was necessary. Got this guy, or is it a woman, or is it a man or a woman? He says, I can't stand it, make it stop. The pigeons saw the murder. The pigeons told the frog. The frog found the man. And then the storm began. A storm that followed the man throughout the city, no matter where he went. A storm that only poured on him. Okay. I've seen something like that before in a cartoon, sort of like a Tom and Jerry. You know, that's a... He says, I did it. I killed him. Dumped his body in Central Park. Please, just make it stop. Please make the thunder go away. And here's the frog. Not bad, I guess, for a frog. Now to get back to... We got a code green, guys, out at LaGuardia. They need all the available units out there. I repeat, a code green. Suspect was last entangled in battle with... And then we're back over here with the Frost Giant and Loki. And says, you passed out hours ago. I treated your wounds with a spell of... and you've been sitting here. No way in hell is that my blood in your veins, you tiny fool. And so, you know, this just makes no sense to me. How is this... How is Loki have the blood of a frost giant in his veins? I don't get it. So we go back over here, present day, and that tower is, you know, just rubble. No, it's nothing. And why is this 4 small panels? That could have been one complete panel, and it just would have looked better to me, you know? This is 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. To show the hammer flying, you needed 4 panels? Really? Like I said, that would have looked better if it was one complete panel there. And then here's Jane Foster. Major, I'm down here. I'm starting to change. As Jane, I'll instantly be crushed to death. Major, have to touch Major or I'll... Major? Would you settle for a sliver of it? Must be passing out because I swear that frog... Frog looks just like... And then over here we're back to Asgardia, I think. Carnella is like lying there dying, saying, I saw the threads, the fates of us all. I saw death coming from me. I did my best to twine the tail. I bled like a Norn. I die proud and happy. Mine is not the death you should fear, Odinson. Jane, don't let Jane. And this scene right here, I think is pretty nice. Odinson, you know, just holding her like that. And then, I don't know how to pronounce this. Severhalthrim, realms of the dark elves. Word has come from the roots of the world tree. The Norn Keep has fallen. Your fate belongs to you, to none but you. Now, congratulations, King Malekith. No, not just my fate. All their fates. Every last realm. Ha! It's going to be such a beautiful war. Ha ha ha. I've never seen, I don't know who Malekith is, but, you know. That, picture, this picture of him reminds me of a Star Trek episode from the 1960s where characters were like totally black on one side of their face, totally white on the other side. Only this one, he's like on this side black with white eyebrow. On this side, more or less grayish with black eyebrow, surrounded by white hair, black ear, grayish type ear, I think. I'd love to know why he's like that. Pretty interesting. In the depths of darkest space, in the darkest depths of space, and enjoying yourselves. Not particularly. I needed to be surrounded by death, so I found a world to murder. Yeah, you miss your home. Yes, I want my hell back. And I think that's Thanos talking. I don't know why he's there. And then over here, we have, I think this is Jennifer Walters. Oh no, not again. This is Jennifer Walters exhibiting the same behavior as Bruce Banner. This is the type of Hulk that I miss. I blacked out again. You're losing it, Jennifer. I've got to get some help before I hurt someone other than myself. Well, I can't believe I just teamed up with the new Thor, the frog says, or he's thinking. This calls for a celebration. I wonder where I can find some mead. And the frog's twirling the hammer just like Thor used to do. Or like, Odinson. So you think me an easy meal, do you? You'll soon learn otherwise. Rats of queens, prepare to taste the hammer of Throg. I think that's funny. Old Asgard, where once dwelled the gods, and I think that's the Volstagg dude. He's just, I'm not sure who he's battling. It's a goat. It says, you goat, tooth gnasher? Odinson left you to guard the hammer, didn't he? No, you can't have it back. It chose me. It came back to me. It wants me to end the war, and I never asked for this. I never asked to be Thor. Throom! So, this is pretty confusing to me. And then he grabs the goat by the throat and says, by all the gods, it can't be. You call yourself Thor. You're no Thor I've ever seen. But you'll do for a start. And this weirdo pops up. At long last, Mangog has returned to Asgard. Looks like a, looks like a human slash bull with really strange coloring. With the strength of a billion beings in rage unquenchable, which means the time has come for the ultimate judgment. The ultimate judgment to be pronounced by someone that looks like this? I think he's more of a joke. Time for gods to die, screaming and wailing. And he charges against Volstagg, starting with you. But rest assured, you will not be the last. To be continued. And there flies Jane Foster. And I'm not going to read all that because it's just too long. But this is kind of nice here. It gives a little history of Thor. The hammer Mjolnir bears a simple inscription. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. Now, to be honest, I never knew that there was an inscription on Mjolnir. For a time, Odin's son wielded the power of Mjolnir. He protected Asgard and Midgard from every foul beast known to God and man until he became unworthy. Mjolnir waited until a successor could be found. And then we go over here. Jane Foster pursued a career in medicine after losing her mother to cancer at an early age. The same cancer that would one day find Jane. And there she is. She battled the cancer head on, never stopping, until fate intervened. A longtime friend of Odinson, Jane accepted the position in the Congress of Worlds, a congregation representing the 10 realms. It was there that Mjolnir found its new owner. Though the transformation cancels out her cancer treatment, Jane has accepted her new life. For now she knows, whosoever holds the hammer, if she be worthy, shall possess the power of the mighty Thor. Notice how they changed it. They did the change up there. How originally it said, if he be worthy. Then finally when she gets a hold of it, they changed it to, if she be worthy. Why is it always, why do they always seem to focus on the she pronoun? And is that just me? Am I imagining that, or do I see that a little too often? But I will admit that is a nice picture of Jane Foster. It's a very nice picture. And so that's my review of the Mighty Thor issue 700. I enjoyed it. It was really good. The second time around, I noticed some parts of it that I didn't really care for, but it's still a good story, and I do believe that it was worth the price tag. I do. I mean, there are some parts that could have been better, some parts that could have been left out, but overall, it was a good story, and I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys stories about the Mighty Thor, be it Odinson or Jane Foster. So, I am Michael for Spirit Comics. True readers, thank you for joining me once again. If you would, please subscribe to my channel here, Spirit Comics. Smash that bell so you'll be notified of all new uploads. Also, drop this video a like. That'll be very appreciative. And also, share it, because you will be supporting this channel. Thank you ever so much. Till next time, true readers.